Part 56. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 551. This knock on the door was very strange, because this vibration was transmitted to every corner of the Wanqi house. It was as if something was shaking the whole house. Lin Yi was startled, with a strange look in his eyes. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. What's going on? He jumped up from the bed and reached the lobby in a few short steps. There was a thump of footsteps upstairs. Brandy and others were also alerted and walked down quickly. Lin Yi stood in front of the French window in the lobby, looking outside. Through the glass of the window, he saw the person knocking on the door. A mysterious man wearing a white robe, the robe covered his entire head. At this time, the door of the House of All Things is emitting a faint red light. This is the phenomenon when the wish shrine is activated. The scenery outside the window changed. It was neither another world nor Red Lotus City, but some kind of unknown world. A world shrouded in a dark starry sky. The place seems to be a dense forest, full of trees and various wonderful plants, all of which emit a faint fluorescent light. The world is like a dream, like a fairy tale. The brilliance of the true meaning of life flashed in his eyes, and he could see through the figure under the white robe. What was it? It was a race similar to humans. In terms of power level, they were just ordinary people without any fluctuations in power. But the blood flowing in her body was extraordinary. The peculiar genetic structure hidden deep in the blood gave it a natural affinity for the energy in the air. Her ears are different from humans. The tops of her ears are very long, her skin is very fair, and her facial features are also very delicate. The pupils of her eyes are purple, and her long silver hair reaches her waist. She is very beautiful, just like a legendary elf. Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of curiosity, and Lingbo increased his investment and began to analyze the blood structure in the opponent's body in detail. Tracing back to the source, she locked onto her spinal cord and saw the bone marrow in the spine, which was a piece of silver bone marrow. The blood cells transformed from the bone marrow have strong energy affinity. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi's eyes lit up. Is this a talent? The talent of a different race. Dong dong dong. This foreign woman knocked on the door of Wanqi Wu again. Lin Yi looked at Absinthe and said, "Open the door." Absinthe pursed his lips, walked over and opened the door. "Welcome to the House of Everything," Absinthe said with a smile on his face. At this time, the power of the wish shrine enveloped the entire lobby, and everyone in the lobby was connected to the power of the wish shrine. The foreign woman in white robe looked up at the people in the Wanqi room and said calmly, "Hello, I am the high priest of the Tianling clan. I received a message somewhere, and it led me here. There is power here that can solve our family's disaster. Can you please help me?" Hearing this, Lin Yi smiled slightly and came to the woman. "Hello, I am Lin Yi, the owner of Wanqi Wu. First, I need to know what disaster you are facing, and then I can talk about whether this disaster can be solved." He already knew that this woman should have received the message from the wish shrine, and then came to find the House of All Things. In other words, business is coming to your doorstep, and it is a different kind of business than before. Interesting, that is, does the wish shrine keep changing? A thought flashed through Lin Yi's mind. "Please come in and let's talk slowly." In front of the floor-to-ceiling window, a foreign woman sat opposite Lin Yi and heard Lin Yi say, "What would you like to drink?" "I have water, tea, coffee, etc. here." The alien woman's purple eyes looked at Lin Yi quietly, shook her head and said, "No need." Lin Yi didn't take it seriously. "Then let's start a formal discussion. What kind of disaster did your Tianling clan encounter?" The alien woman said slowly, "First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Ellie Rose, the high priest of the Tianling tribe. The position of Director of Communication with the Gods. A month ago, my communication with the gods was interrupted. But before the interruption, I received the only message from the gods. The content is that disaster is coming, and a mysterious evil is coming to our world. The gods ask us to hide and find hope. Only I know this information at the moment, I haven't told my people yet. But I asked the tribesmen to be fully armed and build weapons to prepare for the coming disaster. At the same time, I also found a safe place to leave a fire for the clan. Originally, I planned to lead my tribe to face the disaster together, but today I received an unknown message. This information tells me that there is an existence here that can grant wishes, so I will appear in front of you. After hearing the whole story, Lin Yi nodded. I already understand the situation you mentioned. In other words, your opponent is that mysterious beast, a message conveyed by your gods. Elrose nodded and said, yes, that is our enemy. Judging from the information passed down by the gods, it is definitely an existence that we cannot resist. But our race is proud and does not allow us to retreat in the face of the enemy. So we will use all our force to defeat it. Do you know where this evil creature is? Lin Yi asked calmly. A trace of heaviness flashed across Elrose's delicate face. We have found its traces. It is in the western Death Canyon. I feel that it is brewing a disaster. If it cannot be killed in a short time, the disaster will sweep our world. Lin Yi completely understood the situation of this world after hearing this. God. Send a message. Evil creature. If there is a God, what level is it? And why after this God conveyed the message, there was no information feedback at all? Does this God have fallen? There is a certain possibility. For example, he was killed by the evil creature. At this time, Lin Yi was very interested in the existence of this evil creature and the God. This God seemed to be another different power system. He looked at Elrose. You want me to help you deal with this monster, first I must know his approximate strength level. So what can the strongest person in this world do? For example, destroying mountains, turning rivers and seas upside down, or destroying cities. Hearing this, Elrose shook his head and said, that's something only gods can do. The strongest of our Tianling tribe can fight beasts, destroy huge rocks weighing several tons and tens of cubic meters, and can defeat thousands of people. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 552. Listening to Elrose's explanation, Lin Yi roughly understood the situation of the strongest person in the Tianling tribe. The level of a simple creature would not exceed the level of the ghost immortal. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Their gods can move mountains and seas, overturn rivers and seas, and destroy cities. They can basically reach the level of Earth Immortal Deo in combat power. And if that vicious creature really killed their god, its level would not be lower than this level. Frowning, he looked at Elrose and said in a low voice, I probably understand your power level. But if you want to deal with that vicious beast, the price you have to pay will be very heavy. I wonder if you have anything to pay me for. I can receive any precious items here, such as rare treasures, lives, souls, etc., anything of great value. Elrose was not surprised when she heard Lin Yi's words. She just said calmly, facing the disaster of world destruction, any price is worth paying. There is a mysterious treasure enshrined in my race. Legend has it that this treasure comes from an unknown world. It has mysterious power. But no one has ever been able to actually use this treasure. The gods once conveyed a message that this is something that cannot be controlled by anyone. It is a treasure that belongs to the universe. If you can save our world, then I will offer you this piece of the universe's treasure. The treasure of the universe? A message from the gods. Hearing this, Lin Yi looked at the high priest of the Tianling tribe strangely. Didn't your god ask you for this treasure? Since it can be called a treasure of the universe, the meaning it represents is extraordinary. The gods are great beings, noble and holy. Such a great being would ask for nothing from us. He only gives us hope, he is the guardian of the world. At this time, the face of High Priest Elaros showed unprecedented reverence. It was an emotion from the heart without any distracting thoughts. Lin Yi looked at her face, and a flash of surprise flashed in his heart. The power was due to his own existence, and his own desires would expand infinitely. Because with power you can have everything. In this world, this mysterious God is the highest point of power. Logically speaking, he could desire any life in this world, but he did not do so, and was not moved by the treasures of this universe. No matter how he looked at it, Lin Yi felt strange. Is there really a saint-like existence in this world? Lin Yi didn't believe it at all. He felt that there might be other reasons. But naturally he would not say such a thing. For your price, I have never seen this treasure of the universe, and I cannot understand its value. So I need you to bring this thing in front of me. After I observe it, I can determine whether it is valuable. Elaros nodded, that's what it should be, okay. After thinking for a while, Kailan looked at High Priest Elaros and said, first of all, I can promise to help you solve this mysterious murderous thing. But my power is not omnipotent. I will investigate this murderous creature. If I can't deal with this thing, then unfortunately, our contract will be void. We can make a contract if you want. High Priest Elaros said calmly, I am willing to sign the contract. There is nothing she can do now. If she loses Lin Yi's opportunity, her world will most likely be destroyed, so she must seize this opportunity. Lin Yi nodded, raised his hand slightly, and a note appeared in front of him. He picked up a pen and wrote a detailed treaty on it. The content is roughly that he agrees to the deal, but depending on the strength of the final investigation of the murderer, he can choose to give up. At the same time, the condition for the establishment of the contract was that Lin Yi recognized the price paid by the High Priest. If that cosmic treasure cannot meet Lin Yi's needs, then the contract will not be established. Unless the High Priest comes up with other trading items of considerable value. After writing the contract, Lin Yi handed it to Elaros, take a look. If you think there is no problem, just sign your name. Even if our contract has officially begun, I will wait for you to bring me the treasure of the universe to take a look. If he does not meet my requirements, then you will have to pay an equal price again. Elaros looked at the note in his hand. She didn't recognize the words on it at all. But she could understand the meaning of these words, and she immediately realized that it was the effect of some mysterious force. After reading the contents of the note carefully for a while, she nodded, picked up the pen on the desk, and wrote her name. After the High Priest wrote the name, the note turned into fly ash, and a strange power connected to her and Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at the High Priest and smiled softly. Okay, our contract has basically begun. The next step is to verify the cosmic treasure you mentioned. The High Priest stood up slightly from his chair, I will notify the tribesmen to send the things over. Send it over, are your tribesmen close to here? Only 1 kilometer, this is the ruling area of my tribe, but they didn't send it directly, I went to get it. Hearing this, Lin Yi nodded, okay, then I'll wait. The High Priest slowly came to the door, took a step out, and returned to her world. At this time, Lin Yi had completely analyzed the cell structure in her spinal cord through the True Destiny solution. Next, he just needs to find a time to try it, maybe he can transplant this talent to his human immortal body. He has an idea in his mind that he will not throw away his human immortal body. He will use this body to store all the gifted organs he sees. In the end, he wants to create a divine body with various talents, even surpassing the true body of the earth immortal, and various mythical creatures. Because all these gifted organs are copies of the talents that originally belonged to humans. He wanted to try to see if he could create the most powerful divine body of human talent by accumulating countless talents, thus creating an invincible existence. If his idea was feasible, he could even transplant this divine body of talent to his own earthly immortal body. However, this was destined to be a distant thing, and he needed to constantly observe human talents to achieve it. The high priest stood at the door of the Wanchi house, and she slowly made some wonderful movements. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 553. Lin Yi saw a trace of energy, which was attracted by her innate ability and gathered in front of her, turning into an illusory energy bird. The high priest gently pointed at the top of the illusory energy bird, and it began to tremble slowly with the naked eye. Its eyes seemed to have consciousness and spirituality. After flying around the high priest for a circle, it spread its wings and flew into the sky and disappeared in the distance. Lin Yi's true destiny and Taoism had already understood what was going on. He found that the high priest's soul seemed to be very active and could differentiate a trace of active spiritual power. When this spiritual power extended to the outside world, it would cooperate with her blood talent in her body. It quickly absorbed the energy around it and turned into a wonderful energy creature under the restraint of his spiritual power. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. This energy creature is composed of her spirit and is naturally under her perfect control. It can convey various information and even launch attacks. In simple terms, there are some magicians similar to those seen on Earth, in Western fantasy novels. This is really amazing. They don't have any power, but they can exert this kind of magic-like power just because of the activation of the soul and talent. At this time, Lin Yi fully activated the True Destiny solution and carefully observed the soul level of the high priest. Then he was surprised to find a problem. The soul of the high priest spread all over her body, full of activity, producing a trace of spirit, and gathered in her brain. And all these mental powers are operating according to a wonderful structure. But this is not the most amazing thing. The most amazing thing is that there is a mysterious and invisible power in the high priest that controls everything. Controlling the operation of the spirit, Lin Yi soon noticed a trace of the source. Mind, she is using the mind to control her own soul and spirit. Lin Yi was very shocked, because in the cultivation system of the Red Lotus realm, there is no cultivation of the mind. This is a completely different path from the cultivation method of the Red Lotus realm. His true destiny is all things at the spiritual level, an intangible level, not existing in the current material world, as if in another dimension. In the Red Lian realm, he had never seen anything like this, but he saw the shadow of similar power in the high priest. However, the high priest's power was only the control of the spirit and soul, which was far less powerful than the Yiling Jing, and it didn't even have 1/10,000th of the effect. But this involved the power of the unknown spiritual level. Lin Yi looked very seriously, with a solemn look in his eyes. Maybe I can get something related to the spiritual level from her. As the energy bird left, the high priest returned to the Wanchi house and looked at Lin Yi calmly. Next, it's just waiting. Soon my Yuling will return with treasures. Yuling? Is it the artificial life form formed by the fusion of energy and spirit? It's a bit of strange power, very sophisticated means. It involves the use of the spiritual level. The high priest's eyes showed a trace of shock when he heard this. This Yuling secret method is the highest secret of their race. It is the power conveyed by the gods, and only the high priest can master it. And this secret, she has never told anyone. Indeed, as you guessed, this is the power of the mind. Are you also proficient in the power of the mind? Lin Yi shook his head. No, I am not proficient in the power of the mind, I just know this kind of power. This is not the power of energy and matter, it should have something to do with the soul. But this power is very mysterious, and it is not easy to master. You don't have any power, but I am surprised that you can master the power of the mind. Is this the power given to you by the gods behind you? The high priest calmed down and nodded, yes, this is the power given to me by my God. Lin Yi nodded, looked at the high priest and said, your gods are really interesting, they can actually master this kind of power. But have your gods ever shown the advent of miracles? The high priest nodded, yes, my God will send down miracles on the first day of every year and bless all my people. Lin Yi nodded, if I have the chance, I would like to get to know your gods. The high priest took a deep look at Lin Yi, and her heart could see the faint breath of Lin Yi. It was a kind of power that she had only felt in the breath of gods. Boundless, divine power like the sea. Pa pa. The sound of wings flapping continued to sound, and the imperial spirit released by the high priest flew back. It passed through the door of the Wanchaiwu in one go and landed in front of the high priest. Bang! The moment it landed on the table, it emitted a faint light, and then it broke into countless light mists and disappeared without a trace. At this time, Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. A square crystal appeared on the table. Looking closely, this crystal is about the size of a thumb, and the side of the cube is about 2 centimeters. The high priest said calmly, this is the treasure of the universe. It is very magical. No object or any power can cause any damage or change to it. No matter whether it's swords, guns, swords, fire, or ice, it can't produce any change. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi felt a little interested. He looked at this wonderful crystal carefully, his eyes shining with the light of the true meaning of life. The next moment, he felt the rapid consumption of spiritual waves, and at the same time he also saw what was in the crystal. There are countless levels of time and space dimensions, as well as the infinite universe and starry sky. This small crystal seems to contain a universe. The most important thing is that in this crystal, he saw almost endless information transformation. His brows twitched, and he felt as if he had encountered something unprecedented. This thing might actually be the treasure of the universe. But why didn't the gods of this world take it away? Is it really just because of greatness? A state of mind like a saint? Lin Yi didn't think there really were saints in this world. The reason why saints are saints is probably because ordinary desires cannot satisfy them, so they behave without desires or desires. When something truly moves their hearts appears, they may no longer be saints without desires, but will become like common people. Looking at the mysterious square in front of him, Lin Yi glanced at the high priest solemnly. This thing is indeed very expensive, and it is enough to be used as the equivalent material for this transaction. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 554. Take this thing now, and it will belong to me after the transaction is completed. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Next, I will go to find out what the mysterious evil thing is. Get ready to go, we don't have much time. A hint of coldness appeared in Lin Yi's eyes, and the destruction cane appeared in his hand, and his eyes swept over Brandy and the others. You guys take good care of the store, I still have to go out. Brandy stood up straight, held his head high and said, yes, store manager. Looking at the funny Brandy, Lin Yi rolled his eyes at him. He looked at the high priest, let's go. As he said, the two had already walked out of the Wanchaiwu, and the door of the Wanchaiwu was emitting a faint red light. That was the power of the wish shrine continuing to work. When Lin Yi stepped into the world where the high priest was, he immediately felt the energy nature of this world. Very inert energy, not even as good as the first spiritual explosion of the Red Lotus realm. Thinking of the mysterious spirit control method of the high priest, he immediately realized why this method appeared in this world. Because the energy of this world lacks spirituality, the high priest used mental power to replace spirituality and gave the energy new activity. As a result, the energy has undergone many changes and has become a power that can be used directly. It seems that it will be very troublesome to replenish energy in this world. I have to maintain peak combat power at all times. Thinking of this, the power of the earthly immortal spirit in his body was firmly locked in his body, without revealing a drop. And he only used the thoughts of the earthly immortal spirit to communicate with the energy of the void and maintain the peak power of the human immortal body. Although the energy activity around him is very low, relying on the thoughts of the earthly immortal level, he can still extract energy from the void. However, the thoughts will have a large consumption, which is 10 times that of the Red Lotus realm. As long as we can still extract void energy, everything is within control. He looked at the high priest and said in a low voice, "Where is that death canyon? I want to see what that thing is first." The high priest looked in the direction of her left hand and raised her hand at the same time. "It's 100 kilometers away over there. There is a canyon that runs through the entire continent. It's thousands of meters deep, dark, and humid all year round, and no light can penetrate it. I used the Imperial Spirit to explore there and found that the evil creature was hiding underneath, and it seemed to be accumulating strength. Originally, my people were ready to go, planning to go out tomorrow morning to go to the Death Canyon to encircle it." "I understand, then follow me," Lin Yi said. Without waiting for the high priest to refuse, he grabbed his shoulder, and the light of the boundless destiny was all over his body. The next moment, the two rushed towards the direction of the Death Canyon. The essence bloomed gently under his feet, allowing him to move forward at a very fast speed in the state of the boundless destiny. The speed was getting faster and faster, because there was nothing to stop him and slow him down. After just 20 minutes, they had crossed an area of hundreds of kilometers and arrived at the top of the Death Canyon. What came into view was a huge canyon that was hundreds of meters wide. Looking down, it was pitch black without any light. Lin Yi looked up at the sky. This world was full of bright stars, but there was no light like the sun in the Red Lotus realm. Standing above the Death Canyon, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with the light of the true destiny. All the darkness could not stop his sight, and his eyes were carefully searching for all suspicious things. The high priest next to him looked at him with horror. Everything on the road just now was unimaginable to the high priest. Whether it was trees, rocks, or mountains, they could not stop the man in front of him. He seemed to be non-existent and brought himself to the Death Canyon in a short time. After feeling this mysterious power, he became more confident in solving this evil creature. Looking at the darkness below, Lin Yi soon found something wrong. At the deepest part of the canyon, there is a hazy area, which seems to be separated from the world. Something is brewing inside, but it seems that it cannot walk out of that strange area. It seems that we need to get closer to one point to confirm what it is. Thinking of this, he reached out and patted the high priest on the shoulder again. The next moment, under the power of the true destiny, the two of them had already dived straight down along the rock wall of the canyon. The rock seemed to be non-existent and could not stop the two at all. Soon they came to the bottom of the canyon, which was at least several thousand meters deep. There are many mysterious creatures living at the bottom, and many of them are filled with powerful power fluctuations. However, this power is not a threat to Lin Yi, not even at the level of human immortals. This is determined by the energy activity of the world. In the state of insufficient energy activity, it is impossible to give birth to two powerful life forms. At this time, they did not rashly expose themselves in the canyon, but under the control of Lin Yi's power, they slowly moved along the rocks below the bottom of the canyon. Soon they came to the bottom of the mysterious area. Lin Yi looked at the area above his head with calm eyes. Through the true interpretation of the Tao, he immediately grasped what was going on in this mysterious area. The high priest next to him could not see anything. She could only see mud all around. Although she also had a certain night vision ability, she could not see through the thick rocks and mud. At this time, she felt that Lin Yi had stopped, and she didn't know what he was doing. In Lin Yi's sight, he saw this layer of realm, which was clearly a strange overlap of space. In the overlapping place, a mysterious thing was slowly trembling. Every time it trembled, it would move closer to this world, and it was descending towards this world. At this time, Lin Yi also saw his true appearance. It was a human-shaped thing, but strangely, his whole body was full of colorful light and had no specific face. It looked like a transparent human body, but the difference was that there was a colorful glow flowing and flashing in the body. Lin Yi could see that there was a wonderful power in the human body, not energy or matter, but a huge soul fluctuation. This was the first time he saw a life form composed purely of soul matter. He had no idea what was so terrible about this life form. This was something he had never touched before. The light of the true destiny in his eyes kept flashing. He analyzed this life form made of soul matter from all angles, trying to find its flaws and defects, as well as all its structural structures. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 555. The more he observed this existence, the more Lin Yi discovered something amazing. This life form was completely different from all the creatures he had ever seen. Countless soul ions formed colorful brilliance in his body. Those brilliances actually had their own structures and functions. Finally, a perfect system was formed, allowing countless soul ions to operate in his body. It seemed to be a brand new soul life system. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but take a deep breath, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. Awesome, there are such creatures in this world. It is made of pure soul matter. If I kill it or subdue it, I wonder if it can produce soul matter for me in an endless supply. However, at this time, he also observed the danger of this thing through the true destiny. Although this thing is based on soul matter and constructs a brand new power system, Lin Yi sensed the deepest part of this system, involving the power of the spiritual level. Because the soul power in the other party's body will produce a wonderful consumption during the continuous operation. This consumption seems to be a transformation, and the power of the soul is transformed and integrated into this life, an invisible whole. That whole seemed to be the spiritual level, and all the transformed power was flowing into the soul. It's spiritual power again. This world is a bit strange. It doesn't have any similarities with the cultivation system of the Red Lotus realm. Completely different systems. This thing is at least at the level of earthly immortals. It's not easy to subdue it. To fight against unknown existence, you must face unknown power systems. It seems that there will be considerable danger. Thinking of this, he looked at the high priest. I will test this thing later. I will send you up first. The high priest nodded when she heard it. She couldn't see anything here, but she knew that Lin Yi would definitely see everything. A few minutes later, the high priest appeared above the Death Canyon again. Lin Yi glanced at her and said, "Be careful. It will probably be more chaotic later. It's best to stay away from the canyon entrance to avoid being rushed in." "I understand, please rest assured, sir, I will protect myself." Lin Yi nodded, and then disappeared in front of the high priest. A few minutes later, Lin Yi appeared at the bottom of the canyon again, looking at the mysterious area covering hundreds of meters. His arrival has awakened the mysterious existence inside. The colorful transparent figure opened his eyes, which were two eyes composed of colorful vortex light spots. He took a deep breath, and a hint of hesitation appeared in his eyes. A wonderful message appeared in Lin Yi's mind. "Who are you?" "I should ask this question," Lin Yi smiled faintly, looking at this mysterious existence curiously. "A highly intelligent existence, maybe I can learn something from him. I am a soul hunter, traveling through countless worlds and hunting countless souls." "Soul hunter? From what you said, you seem to be collecting souls specifically." "Yes, I am here to collect souls in this world, they are all good resources." Lin Yi frowned, and he had roughly understood the other party's behavior pattern in his heart. This is an existence without any human morality, pure jungle law. "So, soul harvester, do you know that there are gods in this world?" It has passed the news of your arrival to the life forms in this world. They are already preparing to deal with you. The soul hunter heard this, and a cold message flashed in Lin Yi's mind: are you afraid of the threat of ants? Don't say the creatures in this world, even their masters, the gods, have been harvested. The master of the soul is the end of countless worlds, and as the harvester of the master, nothing can stop us. Lin Yi quietly looked at the existence who called himself the soul harvester, with a faint smile in his eyes. I'm very curious. Since you are so powerful, why do you tell me all this? Since the so-called life is just an object to be harvested in your eyes, then you just need to kill me. You don't need to tell me this at all. Then it can be inferred that you told me this only because you are not sure you can kill me. So you need to use words to stabilize me and achieve a certain purpose. He, arrogant mortal, the first time I saw you, I knew you were a disgusting immortal series practitioner. I have harvested countless beings like you. I know your power better than you do. The reason I tell you this is just because I want to give you a chance. An opportunity to become a spokesperson under the command of the Soul Master. Oh, the spokesperson of the Soul Master. What do I need to do? The Soul Hunter's eyes have been looking at Lin Yi, and he said with a cold look, what you have to do is very simple, that is, to capture those powerful lives, bring them to me and kill them. Sacrifice their souls to me. Is that so? This kind of thing is actually very simple to do, but what's the benefit for me? The transparent body of the Soul Hunter was expressionless. As the spokesperson of the Soul Master, your biggest benefit is that you will have the opportunity to become a Soul Hunter, so as to obtain eternal life and enter the great soul destination. That is the place that countless souls want to enter, the eternal utopia, avoiding all disasters. People like you who practice the power of immortals are always surrounded by countless dangers. You should be in a realm called the Earth Immortal Path now, with a catastrophe once every 500 years. No one in the Earth Immortal Path can pass the 9th catastrophe. This is the rule of the universe. It is a limit that creatures with 3 states of matter, energy, and soul cannot surpass. Only the Soul Master has opened up the soul's path and created an eternal destination, which laid the foundation for eternal life. Listening to the information leaked by the Soul Hunter, Lin Yi was thoughtful. Eternal life? This is indeed a huge temptation. Any living being cannot refuse this temptation. The Soul Hunter seemed to be very clear about the pursuit of immortality. The cold message flashed in the spirit of the soul. So this is the greatest treatment given to you by the Soul Master. This is the treatment that countless living beings dream of. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 556. If you hadn't entered the level of earthly immortal Dao and possessed a sufficiently powerful soul condensation, you wouldn't be qualified to be the spokesperson of the Soul Master. Feeling the confidence in the Soul Hunter's information, Lin Yi's face showed a hint of indifference. He has the power of the Diling Jing. Now that he has entered the earthly immortal Dao, he can continuously increase his lifespan by refining the energy in the void. As long as he avoids a disaster that occurs once every 500 years, he can continue to survive. And through the power of true destiny, he can completely ignore any external disaster. So longevity is not too difficult for him, and the Soul Hunter's proposal has no appeal to him. And at this time, his true destiny has been quietly observing the other party. He noticed that the other party was extending his power. Obviously, he wanted to completely descend into this world through this period of conversation. There was a sneer in his eyes. He had almost obtained all the information he wanted, and he didn't need to continue to nag at this guy. He still remembered that his mission was to destroy this thing, otherwise it would be a violation of the agreement. He didn't know what problems would arise at that time. He would not intend to break the agreement. However, the soul hunter has not really come yet, which gives him a great opportunity. A way to drive him out directly. Okay, let's not talk nonsense anymore. I have no interest in your proposal, and your proposal is of no value. Now you should go back. This world is not the place for you. As he said, Lin Yi's body was filled with terrifying earthly immortal light, and a circle of golden Buddha light burst out from his earthly immortal soul. The next moment, the 5 elements divine fan appeared in his hand. The violent and terrifying power gathered in his feather fan, and infinite power gathered again. This soul hunter also changed his face when he saw Lin Yi, who was suddenly ready to take action. The transparent body without facial features, the light in the body was fluctuating violently, and it was obvious that his emotions were not stable. In an instant, the magnificent colorful light in his body had suddenly burst out, and the entire illusory twisted space was shaking violently, as if something was about to squeeze out from it. A wonderful soul power instantly enveloped Lin Yi. The world around him was changing, and a vague other world was coming. He wanted to pull Lin Yi into it at the same time. But in Lin Yi's eyes, the power of the true destiny solution flickered. All these phenomena were just soul power, affecting his own senses. This was a spiritual attack that directly hit the soul. Once his mind was trapped in the world woven by this power, he might really suffer a catastrophe. In an instant, the true destiny perseverance and the true destiny boundless were activated at the same time. From the mind to the body, there was no flaw, and it was not touched by any power. The true destiny solution also made it impossible for any power to blind his eyes. The 5 elements divine fan in his hand suddenly swung down towards the distorted area in front of him. Countless 5 elements glory madly impacted all the space nodes in this area. He was destroying the stability of this area. With the power of the 5 elements divine fan, this area was shaking violently. The power extending from the soul hunter was gradually losing its fulcrum. Finally, this area shrank rapidly, becoming smaller and smaller, pressing towards the soul hunter. And the soul hunter also shrank as this area shrank. From a distance, it seemed as if it was repelled by something, getting farther and farther away from Lin Yi. This soul harvester violently released his power, as if he wanted to extend it to the depths of this world. But in the end, it only delayed this distorted area a little, but this area was still shrinking steadily. The power of the invisible storm continued to rage, destroying the connection between this distorted area and the world. This is something that only Lin Yi can do, the true destiny, understand everything, observe everything. Even the mystery of this descending space cannot escape his eyes. He can see through the true destiny how to destroy this place. Faced with being constantly repelled and expelled by the world, this soul hunter issued an angry mental shock. Damn it, you actually dared to ruin my business. I remember you, I will definitely find you, no matter which world you come from. Remember, I am the soul hunter Wuodeo. I will definitely find you, the soul master does not allow any blasphemy. Hearing this, Lin Yi smiled slightly, then you are welcome to come to me. I just hope you won't regret it then. I'm not that easy to find. Hee. Looking at Lin Yi's bad smile, the eyes of the soul hunter Wuodeo were filled with anger. Finally disappeared in the shrinking and twisting space. At the same time, in a distant and unknown mysterious latitude. This place is filled with infinite soul light, and countless gorgeous buildings are scattered throughout this area. Damn it! A roar sounded from one of the buildings. It was a building that was all white, like a tower. There are many such buildings in this mysterious dimension, and this is just one of them. A colorful light rose from the top of the tower, as if it had turned into a piece of colorful fireworks, covering the top of the tower. A mysterious being wearing white crystal armor and transparent all over stood up from the throne of the tower, bursting out waves of angry emotions and power. The changes here naturally attracted the attention of some similar beings around. A purple light appeared in front of him. It was a transparent person wearing purple long-distance running. He looked at the soul hunter. Wuodeo, why are you so angry? It looks like someone has robbed your wife. Xuanhuan, I'm in trouble. Trouble? What kind of trouble? A scumbag of the immortal way appeared in the world I captured. He actually expelled my projection. And it destroyed my positioning of that world. A very weird scumbag of the immortal way. He is not a native creature of that world, but an immortal cultivator with the ability to travel through the world. And he only has the strength of the earth immortal level. Hearing this, the man named Xuanhuan's eyes lit up. You mean a cross-world teleportation array? A large immortal world? Yes, a large immortal world means rich souls. The house of everything I created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 557. If we capture this world, our levels may be able to rise a little bit. Get closer to the Master and bathe in the Master's glory. The soul hunter called Xuanhuan seemed very interested. Do you want to invite me to join you? Yes, that person's power is probably at the level of Earth Immortals. At the same time, he also has the ability to teleport across worlds. Based on past experience, there are at least more than 30 cultivators at the level of Heaven Immortals in this world. Taiwanese novel network Rightward Arrow. And there must be immortal cultivators at the level of Void Tribulation among them. That's a group of excellent energy. I can't handle it all by myself. If you come, we can take over this world. Those immortal cultivators, as long as no one has cultivated to the level of cosmic light tribulation, are definitely not our opponents. What do you think? Are you interested? The soul hunter named Xuanhuan, with a cheerful light in his eyes, said, of course, no problem. I am very interested in this, but how should the results be distributed? After that, we will do our best. If there is any cooperation, we will split it 50-50. Xuanhuan nodded, okay. When will it start? Wuodeo's eyes showed a cold light. First, we need to locate that person. He will never know that when I saw him, we had already established a causal relationship. No matter where he goes, I can track him. Now we have to wait until he returns to his original world before locating him. There is only one chance, and we must be careful, otherwise the existence of the Tianxiandao level will inevitably discover this causal relationship and cut it off. After all, in every immortal world, there are usually guardians of the Tianxiandao who monitor all information from the outside world. This opportunity cannot be wasted casually. I have to prepare some materials, and you have to provide some. Make sure we can land in that world without any mistakes. Xuanhuan smiled coldly, no problem, I am very much looking forward to the harvest this time. A strange conspiracy is shrouding Linyi and may come at any time. Looking at the space that had returned to normal, Linyi smiled. This time it went very smoothly. After opening the power of true destiny, Linyi had already gone up the rock wall to the top of the Death Canyon. A few minutes later, he appeared in front of the high priest again with a faint smile on his face. The matter has been resolved. That thing was expelled by me. He will not come again. I have cut off all traces of him in this world. You can keep this thing. Linyi did not know when a note appeared in his hand. When you need my help, you can write down your wishes on it and I will appear. Now our transaction is over, pay your reward. The high priest closed his eyes slightly, as if he was feeling something. A few minutes later, she slowly opened her eyes. The disharmony of the world has disappeared. You have indeed completed the commission between us, so this treasure of the universe is handed over to you. Thank you for your help. The Tianling tribe will always remember your help. Linyi smiled slightly, it's nothing, just an equal exchange. If you have anything you can't solve in the future, you can also notify me. I am happy to do business. It should be okay for you to go back by yourself, right? The high priest smiled slightly, and her delicate face was so beautiful that Lin Yi was slightly distracted. There is a beauty in the world, one smile can conquer the city, and another smile can conquer the country. This thought flashed through his mind, and Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh, the ancients didn't deceive me. The high priest looked at Lin Yi with a puzzled look, what do you mean? Lin Yi smiled slightly, it's nothing, just a saying of the ancients, so goodbye, high priest. After that, Lin Yi turned around and left. The power of the boundless destiny had enveloped him, and he could penetrate mountains and tread water when he met mountains. Looking at Lin Yi's receding back, the high priest's face calmed down again. He looked up at the sky, and a trace of indifference appeared in his eyes. Great God, the world is peaceful again, and your sacrifice has not been in vain. The high priest obviously knew that the gods who guarded their world had fallen. The slightly depressed back was full of melancholy. When Lin Yi returned to the Wanchaiwu, it was already 6 o'clock in the morning. Ringing. The sound of the welcome bell rang, and Lin Yi entered the Wanchaiwu quietly. With his return, the red light emitted by the wish shrine slowly dissipated, and the whole Wanchaiwu returned to peace again. Brandy and others saw his return and shouted, "Manager, you are back." Lin Yi looked at the time, turned his head and said to them, "Let's close the store for the time being today. We will be very busy these 2 days. Everyone take a good rest during the day." Brandy and others' eyes lit up when they heard it. Absinthe jumped up with joy, "Great." Vodka was also very happy. It was a rare day off, so he planned to enjoy it. Lafite red wine on the side was waving its little trident, jumping and shouting, "Quick! Get ready, I can't wait to bloodbath you." Looking at Lafite red wine waving its trident and showing off its might there, Lin Yi couldn't help but roll his eyes. Since Lafite red wine came into contact with poker, it has become a professional gambler, thinking of various ways to play cards with others every day. But unfortunately, most of them have jobs and no one has time to play with it every day. But today is a holiday, they can play happily once. Lin Yi sat in front of the French window, with 2 things placed in front of him. One is a sky crystal, and the other is a treasure of the universe. Both of these things are very wonderful. One is what the deputy director of the headquarters tried every means to get, and it seems to be related to the secret of the Tianxiandao. The other is from the Tianling tribe, and even the gods judge it as a treasure of the universe. At this time, the light of the true destiny solution was constantly flashing in Lin Yi's eyes, and he was observing these 2 things carefully. He analyzed them bit by bit, and once the spiritual wave consumed more than 30%, he would stop and quickly restore his strength. He always maintained the highest speed of recovery. He spent the whole day observing these 2 things, but what surprised him was that these 2 things seemed to contain infinite secrets. He observed for so long, but he did not observe the core of these 2 things. He only broke through a layer of fog on the surface, but also got quite a lot of information. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 558. For example, this mysterious sky crystal, just based on the information leaked so far, it can be determined that it is something condensed by some physical rules of the Red Lotus realm. This kind of thing is deep and vast and cannot be observed, and it is undergoing wonderful changes at any time. Even now, the power of the true destiny Daoji cannot fully explain it. It can only be analyzed and understood bit by bit, and it takes a long time to figure out what kind of rules it is. It contains too much information, which makes it difficult for Lin Yi to accept this information. It involves countless types of information, although the true destiny Daoji can help him analyze this information. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. But if he really wants to understand it, it will also take a huge amount of time to understand it. The amount of information contained in it has far exceeded all the information currently accumulated by humans. Lin Yi has a feeling that if he can analyze all the information of these two things, he can even understand some of the true mysteries of the universe. Born in the era of information explosion, he knows very well that knowledge is power. When a person knows all the information of the universe, it means that he can create everything in the universe. Create all civilizations. However, it takes a long time to complete, because these two things are too profound. Even the true destiny requires continuous and countless hours of pondering to truly see through them. A day passed quickly, and Lin Yi looked at the sky outside, which was gradually getting darker. The latest news was quietly broadcast in the news. Currently, 30 of the 200 cities in chaos in the empire have been recovered. There are still 170 cities occupied by strange existences. The power of the empire is still fighting, and I hope all citizens will work hard to maintain the normal operation of the empire. Only in this way can the empire have more power and energy to recover the lost cities. Most of the news is broadcasting various comforting messages to stabilize the hearts of the people in the empire. At this time, the empire is facing a huge crisis, and it is tightly stretched like a string, and dare not relax at all. Everyone has experienced a deep sense of crisis, and those who have jobs are working harder. People without jobs are also trying to find jobs. Food was also in short supply, and prices in the market were generally rising, as if war was about to come. However, everything was still under the control of the empire, and there was no soaring situation. This was also due to the fact that the empire recovered important food sources at the first time and ensured the normal supply of food. However, some newly recovered cities were basically completely destroyed. There were not even many people, and the only thing the empire could do was to snatch a large amount of supplies from them and transport them to the cities that still survived. Although these destroyed cities were recovered, they will basically be idle for a long time in the future. Except for important industrial cities that will mobilize manpower for repair and reoperation, most cities will be temporarily idle. Or the major forces use their own power to migrate population there and establish their own base. At this time, the fastest progress in the entire recovery process was in the northern province and Honglian province. Among them, some emerging people appeared in the northern province. Most of those people were leaders and officials in various teams in the northern province. They showed great strength in the process of recovery, and most of them have even stepped into the ghost fairy way. This mysterious force has even attracted the attention of other forces in the empire. At this time, some magical situations have occurred in the northern province. Once the army of the northern province appears in the city that needs to be recovered, it will show a power like a formation. This power is called a realm, which can greatly suppress the power of those strange beings. Let those strange beings, 10 points of power cannot play 3 points. Because this power is too magical, it has attracted the attention of major sects and empires. People were sent to investigate openly and secretly, but there was no result. Tang Shenzi sat in his office, and several figures gathered here. Among these people, there are strange parties, sects, and empires. They all looked at the silent Tang Shenzi. Tang Shenzi smiled slightly. I already know the purpose of your visit. In fact, that thing is not something too secret. If you want, I can give it to you, but I'm afraid you don't dare to use it. As he said, he waved his hand lightly, and a wooden box appeared on the table. He gently opened the wooden box, and inside was a purple crystal. This is the source of that power. Everyone who holds a position in the Red Lotus Empire can refine it into their body. Then this person will be connected to the empire, and everyone's power will be shared. Once the number is sufficient, a boundary will be formed, which will greatly suppress any power outside the empire. There are 10,000 pieces in a box here. You can take them at will. If you need them, I have more. But I'm afraid you don't dare to use them. At this time, when the people from the empire, the sect, and the weird side heard this, their faces changed, and then their expressions became stiff. They have heard the underlying meaning of this sentence. At the same time, they also realized the danger of this thing. The envoy of the empire looked at Tongshenzi with a gloomy look. "Mr. Governor of the North, what you are doing is very dangerous. Aren't you afraid of being liquidated in the end?" Tongshenzi smiled slightly when he heard this. "Afraid? Why should I be afraid? My power is for the benefit of all sentient beings in the entire Red Lotus realm. Or do you have a better way to eliminate these strange existences and let the people of the empire bleed less? If you can't do it, shut up. Now is a time of life and death. This is not the time to argue with you who are just sitting in office and eating for nothing. I put the things here. If you want to suppress the strange existence and restore the stability of the empire as quickly as possible, then use it. If you don't want to, then let me do it." The envoy of the empire was livid, staring at Tongshenzi with unspeakable anger. "You are playing with fire." After saying that, the envoy turned around and left the governor's mansion of the northern province. The people from the strange side and the sect also looked at Tongshenzi with strange faces. They didn't expect that this man was so bold that he could refine something that could unify all the power of everyone under his command. This method was incredible, and they couldn't see the mystery in it. They didn't know how Tongshenzi did it. However, it is certain that with this method, Tongshenzi's control over the northern province will reach 100%. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Luan Tianji. Chapter 559. This is an iron bucket-like method, which can be said to be impenetrable. No one will interfere with Tongshenzi's rule in the northern province in the future. Moreover, the two felt the wonderful power that permeated the Arctic city. The strange power and immortal power in their bodies were all suppressed to less than 30%. This is simply a terrifying method. No one in the capital of this northern province will be the opponent of Tongshenzi in front of them. The opponent's strength exceeded their imagination. In this case, they must go back and report to the forces behind them. The Tongshenzi in front of them obviously mastered an unknown power, which can even affect the world's pattern. The representatives from the sect and the strange side were very smart. They each took a few purple mysterious crystals and left. Obviously they wanted to take this thing back to study it carefully. If they can get the same thing, the forces behind them will naturally spread it within their own sphere of influence. Then they will run an iron bucket kingdom with the strength of the forces behind them. If they can complete the replication of this power, no one will think of shaking their foundation. Looking at the backs of these people leaving, Tongshenzi's eyes showed a trace of coldness. A bunch of idiots. Why do you think I deliberately released this thing? It is to consume your energy and let you pay attention to this thing. There is the secret of dragon energy in it. How can it be so simple to understand the method of integrating dragon energy and immortality? Even if I put the finished product in front of you, you will have to spend a lot of time to figure it out. If I hadn't witnessed the moment when the dragon energy and the power of the immortal were integrated by chance, I would not have understood the mystery. Study it slowly. After you have studied it thoroughly, at least half of the Red Lotus Empire will be under my command. Tongshenzi can see clearly that now is the time for heroes to be made by the times. He can feel that there is a force in the dark paying attention to him when he really condenses the first ray of immortal dragon energy. Immortal dragon energy, representing the ultimate secret of the combination of immortality and dragon energy, is the foundation for him to establish the immortal kingdom on earth. At this time, the northern province as the base has been completely taken over by him, and the foundation has been solid. The next step is crazy development. Recently, he has mobilized almost all the forces of the northern province to rescue the fallen cities and provinces around him. At the same time, He has combined a large number of resources to develop the northern province. The officials and positions selected by him have been planted with the spirit of the immortal dragon and have become a root or branch of the earthly immortal kingdom. Once you enter his immortal kingdom system, you will never be able to get rid of it unless someone can step into the heavenly immortal path. He has absolute control over those who have accepted his power. He can deprive them of their dragon spirit seeds at a glance and knock them down from immortal masters to the mortal world. This is absolute control. One day in the future, when he becomes Prime Minister, the eternal Zhongshan of billions of years will appear in this world. He will hold the highest power and the most powerful force to rule the immortals and humans. Even if it is a weird invasion, it will eventually be destroyed under the attack of this completely iron barrel system. Even now in this northern province, he can use the system power of the earthly immortal kingdom to compete with any heavenly immortal level combat power without losing the wind. Using the body of an earthly immortal to fight against the heavenly immortals, this is simply an unprecedented myth. Feeling the majestic power in his body and the huge network of immortal dragon power covering the sky above the northern province, a trace of complacency appeared in his eyes. When the time comes, the heaven and the earth will work together, and when the luck is gone, the hero will not be free. At this moment, he has grasped the vent and stood on the great luck. If it weren't for that day, I'm afraid I would never have the opportunity to ascend to the highest. The next step is to find a way to ascend to the position of Prime Minister of the Red Lotus Empire. Only in this way can I use the infinite dragon energy to break through the heavenly immortals in one fell swoop. With the help of the Empire's earthly immortal country system, even if it is the peak of the heavenly immortals, I can compete. That is the realm of true immortality in the legend. In the infinite time, there has never been an existence that exists only in theory. Tao Yushenz's mind flashed countless thoughts, and his thoughts slowly drifted in this thinking. The past, the future, and everything in the present flowed in his heart, and in an instant he seemed to see the long river of time. A wisp of wonderful substance was born from his mind. At this moment, he suddenly felt that everything about him seemed to have a center. His body, strength, soul, thoughts, consciousness, spirit, etc., everything had a master. Suddenly he woke up. What was his current state? The third level of the earthly immortal path. I didn't expect that I would achieve this state silently. The last step of the third level of the earthly immortal path, spiritual condensation. Spirituality is the route between heaven and earth, and countless lives and energies have spirituality. But spirituality is invisible, immaterial, and imageless, and cannot be figured out, captured, or seen. It seems to exist and does not seem to exist. The most important sign of the great perfection of the earthly immortal path is the condensation of spirituality. Spirituality is the root of all a person has, and it dominates everything about himself. It is impossible for ordinary people to see or master their own spirituality, because that is the root of everything a person has. The reason why people are human, can exist in this world, come into contact with matter, produce souls, condense thoughts and ideas, all stem from this most fundamental spirituality. When a cultivator condenses and masters his spirituality, it means that he dominates his own life and death. Half a foot has touched the threshold of the heavenly immortal way. If one is perfect and flawless, all defects will be clearly visible under the illumination of spirituality. Even what happened in the past and what is happening now will be extremely clear, and half a foot has touched the threshold of the heavenly immortal way. If one is perfect and flawless, all defects will be clearly visible under the illumination of spirituality. At this time, Tongshenzi condensed his spirituality and grasped his past, present, and future. He even clearly saw the road to the heavenly immortal way, and unprecedented enlightenment rose in his heart. The spirituality is ethereal and exists between existence and non-existence. At this time, it is at a time level, feeling the past, present, and future. Countless information rushed into his mind, making him understand what the heavenly immortal way is. The first level of the celestial immortal path, the Chi Tribulation. You can start practicing now. I have the spiritual power of dragon energy, which can turn illusion into reality. I can repair the damage of the spiritual Chi Tribulation at will. It will only take a few days to enter the celestial immortal path. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 560. It takes thousands of years for others to accumulate experience, but for me, it only takes one step. Is this the convenience of a road pioneer? Tongshen's eyes showed a trace of joy, and there was also expectation for the future. Everything was going according to his plan, smoothly without any waves. He could feel that the eyes of the origin of the entire Red Lotus realm were all on him, paving the way for him and affecting countless lives. At this time, in a fallen city, Xingyuezi was filled with a wonderful breath. His 5 internal organs, 6 internal organs, eyes, blood, bone marrow, muscles, skin, every part of his body has undergone different changes. They all contain wonderful power, or communicate with the energy of the outside world, or produce wonderful abilities, or connect to a certain mysterious rule in the void. At this time, Xingyuezi's blood was boiling, and his earth immortal soul was inputting majestic magic energy. The magic energy was injected into the blood, forming a wonderful pattern in his body. Involving countless blood vessels, a wonderful three-dimensional figure. At this time, a majestic and profound force field erupted from the three-dimensional pattern, covering his entire body. All the wonderful organs in his body have undergone some changes, and a trace of mysterious essence is flowing to the center of the three-dimensional pattern. There, the wonderful force field is like a furnace, smelting the essential power revealed in all the organs of his body. In the center of the force field, a strand of pure golden blood is slowly being born. His body is in the opposite state, drying up rapidly, and only the three-dimensional figure composed purely of demonic energy still exists, without being affected at all. The essence of his body organs is being quickly drained and merged into the drop of golden blood. This drop of golden blood is trembling slowly, and countless information is surging in this blood. The information is dense and constantly changing in it, repeatedly evolving the truth of all things in the world. Thunder, fire, ice, darkness, and light, rocks, trees, oceans, clouds, time, space, rules, all kinds of incredible forces are evolving and merging in it. In this drop of blood, everything eventually returned to a chaos, and a wonderful genetic material was born. At this time, his body was completely dried up and turned into countless ashes. Only a earth immortal soul sat on the network formed by the demonic energy. At this time, the network formed by the demonic energy suddenly shrank and covered the drop of golden blood. Countless lines densely covered the surface and depth of the blood, forming a wonderful network. Then, this drop of blood suddenly flew up and fell into the mouth of Xingyuezi's earth immortal soul. The next moment, with the earth immortal soul as the center. In the surrounding void, infinite energy seemed to be attracted by this drop of golden blood. Infinite energy rushed into the blood crazily, and the blood began to slowly expand, grow, and divide. The flesh and blood cells began to grow again, expanding continuously along the earth immortal soul. A brand new body is slowly taking shape, and the earth immortal soul and this body perfectly overlap. This drop of blood seemed to be able to assimilate all energy without any attribute restrictions. All the energy covering a radius of thousands of kilometers was extracted and became the nutrients of this body. In the end, in less than 20 minutes, a brand new Xingyuezi appeared in this world. His body skin was white, like a beautiful jade, and pure golden blood was faintly visible in the crystal blue blood vessels, flowing with his heart, spreading to every corner of his body. He was shrouded in a hazy golden light, which was very illusory and could not be detected without careful observation. When you look closely, you will feel that this is a very crystal light. His hair was black, shoulder length, sword-like eyebrows, and a hint of gold in his eyes, which seemed to have endless galaxies flowing in it. Between breaths, it seemed that the energy in the air was affected by his blowing breath, and a sharp golden energy was absorbed. It turned into a golden sword energy, which went directly to a place 3 meters away before slowly dissipating. Breathing out a sword, this is already an innate ability. At this time, there was an inexplicable energy in the surrounding void that spontaneously gathered towards Xuanhuan. This energy seemed to have the characteristics of time and space, making Xuanhuan dreamlike, seeming to exist and not exist in this world. It seemed to be in another time and space level, untouchable. This seemed to be another kind of innate ability. At this time, Xuanhuan's every move would have various strange phenomena appearing. This is something that is almost instinctive and can be done without even consuming strength. At this time, as his body took shape, his earthly immortal soul was rapidly merging with his body. A wisp of spirituality was rapidly condensing, dominating all his own power. Seeing the past, present, and future, he grasped all his own destiny. Similarly, he also saw the way of heavenly immortals. The spirituality grasped the body, and saw that in his new divine body, all the vitality in the world was naturally communicated. With a thought, 3,000 vitality descended from the void and rushed directly into his spirituality. His spirituality came into contact with the 3,000 vital energies in an instant, producing a wonderful chemical reaction. 3,000 faint rays of light appeared above his spirituality, forming a circle of light and merging with his spirituality. At this moment, Xuanhuan has perfectly entered the first level of the heavenly immortal path. All the pure energy in the world can no longer cause any harm to him. This is the perfect state of the first level of the heavenly immortal path, the Chi tribulation. Energy is one of the root rules of the operation of all things between heaven and earth, and part of death is also related to energy. The ultimate goal of practitioners is to get rid of death, live forever, and never die. The heavenly immortal path is the real beginning, entering this realm. At this time, Xuanhuan has perfectly entered the first level of the heavenly immortal path. The ultimate goal of the Chi tribulation is to let his spirituality withstand the scouring of all the energy in the world, so that it will no longer be harmed by any energy like the immune system. It also avoids a way of death. From then on, any energy attack will not be able to kill him. This is the perfect realm of the first level of the heavenly immortal. In this realm, even if the sky thunder is capped, there will be no harm. Originally, as long as the earthly immortals survived the baptism of heavenly tribulation once every 500 years, they could live forever without any lifespan limit. But this was only the lifespan, and there were many other things in the world that could cause practitioners to die.